a child with autism who is minimally speaking, today's episode is for you. I am going to share with you 6 secrets to developing consistent speech. The key is consistent speech. When the speech is consistent, there's going to be a cascading impact in which you're going to find that words are going to develop naturally. We're going to dive into the research behind how the brain works, how we can change the brain, and how when neuroplasticity is at its highest level, we can make the brain more efficient at processing and producing speech. I'm going to show you how to do that today. So I have the ABCs here if you're watching me on YouTube, because I want you to embrace the ABCs. Don't buy into that. It's not appropriate to work on letters, shapes, numbers at the preschool level. Appropriate for who? What we're talking about here is children with autism and capitalizing on their interests. The fact is that 37% of children with autism have intense interest in letters. So we're going to capitalize on that. These will probably be the first words, and that is wonderful. So don't yuck their yum. It's not your first words, it's their first words. And their first words should represent what they're interested in, not what you're interested in. If I'm going to hear anything about the letters, just stop. Stop now. I don't want to hear it. We don't have time for that. We have bigger fish to fry. And that's what this episode is about. I'm going to start with a little bit of neurology talk. And I have my brain here if you're watching me on YouTube. If not, you can imagine I'm going to explain it really well through the mic on the podcast. So here is the cerebellum here on the back of your brain. It's a little brain that could. This little brain that's 10% the size of the brain. So it's a little brain, right? It has all of the neuronal activity. This is where 50 to 80% of the neuronal activity occurs in the brain, in this little mini brain, the cerebellum. Now, what's really important to know about the cerebellum is it connects to almost every area of the brain. So this is a really important piece of the brain that we want to pay a lot of attention to. This is where it's at. There are differences in the cerebellum for children with some speech and language differences. So let's talk about those. If the child has dyslexia, they found that there's differences in the cerebellum. If the child has dysarthria, they found that there's differences in the cerebellum. If the child has apraxia, they found differences in the cerebellum. Stuttering, there's differences in the cerebellum. Developmental language disorders, not always, but for some, there's differences in the cerebellum. I'm not going to say the cerebellum is responsible for fill in the blank, because the cerebellum connects to nearly every area of the brain, so it's kind of responsible for everything. I'm not going to oversimplify it. But if you're working with children with autism, the cerebellum is very, very, very different. There's a lot of differences in the cerebellum for children with autism. Now, the most pronounced difference, this is the one we're going to focus on. The most pronounced difference with the cerebellum is this. The prefrontal cortex, which they call the social area of the brain, the front of your brain in which you plan things out, right? Which you say, this is what I want to happen. It connects through these neuronal tracks, right? It goes to all the way from the front of the brain to the back of the brain to tell the cerebellum, you're responsible for processing language, for producing language, for processing speech, for producing speech, for processing emotions, for producing emotions. Responsible for a lot, but we're sticking in that speech and language area, right? This is what I want you to do. Body, this is what I want you to process, and this is what I want you to do. Mouth, the prefrontal cortex says, this is my plan, and it tells the cerebellum, make it happen. So I always think of the prefrontal cortex. A lot of people say that's the CEO of the brain. I almost think of the board of directors. They have a plan. They're like, this is what we want you to do. I think of the cerebellum as the CEO. That's the one that says, okay, you do this, you do that, you do this, you do that, and make sure everything in the company happens. Now, what we find is this is very important, because if you are a parent, if you're a speech pathologist, if you work with children with autism, focus on this. This is going to be the game changer when it comes to speech development, is that these tracks, these neuronal tracks that communicate and say, okay, cerebellum, this is what I want you to do. And then, or they say, okay, cerebellum, this is what I'm hearing. Okay, cerebellum, this is what I'm comprehending. When they tell the cerebellum that there's breaks in the communication, there's breaks along these neuronal tracks. It's not efficient. They're not sending the messages efficiently. Okay, I was cross-country skiing in Lake Louise, which is right near Banff. And they have trails. And there's trails that they call groomed. And the groomed trails, they already have the tracks. So you can ski really quickly, really efficiently, because people have skied over and over again, and they've made these beautiful tracks. So you can go really fast and have a really good time, and you're not going to have to struggle. It's going to be very efficient because repeatedly the tracks have been made. That's what we want to do with speech. Consistency. We want repetition so that automaticity happens. We don't care if they're saying the same word over and over again. What we care about when it comes to saying the same word is they're able to do it consistently. Someone has to go out there on a regular basis, and they've got to make those grooves. What I'm saying here is that it's repetition. We don't have that consistency, that repetition. The tracks are not made. If we want to develop speech, think about these 6 areas. And all along, I have here the brain, and I have the prefrontal cortex. I want to say this, and it's going to happen. It's going to go back to that cerebellum because we're going to have those nice trails. They're going to be grooved in from consistency, from repetition on a daily basis. Someone went out there every single day and someone made those ski trails so that I could go out there as a novice skier and I can go fluently, easily get from point A to point B. That is the plan if you want to help these children with autism learn to talk. So this is where the ABCs come into place. Why have many of the children, and I attribute the wonderful teacher I work with to this because she's fun. They do the ABCs every day. They do the colors every day. They do the numbers in the group time every day. There's that repetition. Now think about that. There is the trails. They're making the trails every single day. The trails are nice and groomed. You're going to be able to engage in a complex motor movement such as skiing or such as mountain biking. You're going to be able to do it with ease because every single day it's been practiced. The grooves are made. So what we have here is I have the ABCs. ABCs, 1, 2, 3s, colors, these things that are done repetitions, books such as Brown Bear, what do you see? I see it looking at me, Brown Bear, Brown Bear. They're saying the same phrase over and over and over again. Let's look at these components of what makes this the secret sauce that develops consistency. And what consistency is that the child isn't singing ABCs one time and then they don't talk for 2 months. Every single time the child is singing the ABCs during group time. Think about that as the ski trails. Every single day, it's been consistently groomed. There's automaticity in the speech. And what happens is the prefrontal cortex is saying, I want to talk. I want to say the ABCs. And the cerebellum's listening to it because every day someone's gone up there and traveled from the prefrontal cortex and they've gone to the cerebellum. So it's easy and it's consistent and it's automatic. That's what's happening in the brain. And this is how we're making it happen. We're doing it on a daily basis. This is why the teachers are so important. And I go into the meetings, I'm like, I'm not going to be the one that teaches your child the first words. Your teacher is going to be the one to teach the child the first words. How is your teacher going to do that? Well, 5 days a week, this is what your teacher is going to do. Let me share that with you now. They're going to be singing. So when you're singing, you're kind of going to be taking a different way to process language into the brain. What do you do if the front door is locked? What do you do if the child is not auditorily processing words very well? Well, maybe music is how they auditorily process. And if you think about many children you've worked with autism, their first words are bits of songs. E-I-E-I-O. Oh, he's singing Old MacDonald Had a Farm. And then you hear Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. Hee ha, hee ha, 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 ha. He's saying Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. So when we sing the ABCs, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Now you remember when you were a kid singing the ABCs, when someone would stop you in the middle of it, and what did you do? You had to go right start to the finish of the ABC again. You couldn't just pick up where you left off. It was a song that you had learned. You didn't know your ABCs, you knew the song. Later on, you knew the ABCs. But this is how we learn. This is how we do it at first. So the teacher's singing the ABCs. The teacher's singing the days of the week. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Every day is the days of the week. So every day we have these songs. When you move your limbs, you want to move them in the way you move your mouth. So if we're saying bye bye, your hand is opening and closing when you say bye bye. There's a lot of different words that we're going to be saying, and for our hands and our body is doing what our mouth is doing internally, that's going to help because of entrainment. Entrainment is that the mouth is connected to the body. So it's very silly, for instance, if you're doing a snake sound, which is like this, a continuous airflow sound, which your hand should be going like your mouth, right? If you're doing something like and you're clapping your hands, it's like, no, 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 that's not an entrainment. You want the body to be doing what the mouth does. I hate it when I go to workshops and they're like, well, you need to move the body in order to stimulate the mouth. And they have the child producing an S or a continuous snake sound. And then they have the child hitting a bingo marker, which is a stop. Entrainment is the body's doing what the mouth is doing. So when you look at your own gestures that we do you want to drink? We make a circle with our hand. We put it in front of our lips. We're doing with our hand what our lips are doing. Drink. This is basically how we naturally speak. We have this entrainment in which our hands are doing what our mouth is doing. So I encourage you, when you break through the ice and when you move your limbs to talk, do with your hands what your mouth is doing and make it bigger. So because we have to remember these children, a lot of them are having sensory overload and they're taking it all in. And what you want to do is you want the speech to stand out. You want to hook them. It's almost like the TV commercials. They're like louder and bolder. All right. So now we're going to look at step 3. This is very important. Print referencing. Whether you like PECS or not, the picture exchange communication system, there's something you got to grab from that, and it's the sentence strip. The research indicates that many children develop speech when they are pointing to the words as spoken on the sentence strip, whether they're saying, I want, or doing that basic request, or I see, that's when the words come out. Once again, it is entrainment and you want to tap on the syllables. So if it's banana, you're going to go ba-na-na, 3 taps, and you're going to do it as you say it. Once again, you have the fine motor of your point, and that's connected to the fine motor of your speech. And you get that bump, bump, bump. We want to always, always have print. And I notice this with my students. I have to do my own little research study, but very much have observed this over the years. If I have a sentence strip and it has a photo of something, so if it's like, look at the banana, and the word banana is not written there, I get jargon or no speech. So they'll say, look at, hey. If I have the word written there, it'll sound like this, banana. So it's much better. Here's some consonants in, you hear great improvement. And that's what the research had found. The research had found that if you add that printed word for children who are minimally speaking, not only are you going to improve their language comprehension, you're also going to improve the expression. So we're at a point right now where there's just no excuse to use, I think, photos without the printed word. I think it's unacceptable. When I see that, I'm like, no, 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 not acceptable. You should always have the printed word. If you have a picture there, there's just no excuse not to. We have the numbers, we have the research. It makes such a difference in speech and in language comprehension and in language expression and in speech development. So always, always, always have the word printed on those pictures or photos. Let's go to the next one. This is really important, and this is a mistake I made early on in my career, out of school, and said nothing is free. The child can talk, so make them talk. No, speech is free. That's based on a false premise. Speech is always free. What would happen is you have an approach avoidance. It happens in stuttering, for instance. So you could ask the person out on the date, right? Or you could avoid it. So it's high risk, high gain. If you don't know, because of that lack of consistency, if the speech will come. So because those tracks are not grooved and automatic, exactly what we see in the functional MRI research is that it's like they don't have a good connection. It's an inconsistent connection, or, or it's a diffuse connection. It's just kind of like, bleh. The neuronal synapses are going all over the place. It's not a nice path, right? They don't have that path there, that ski path going from the prefrontal cortex, going from the social areas of the brain to the cerebellum. Ergo, what are we going to have? So what do we want to do is we don't want it to be stressful. Think about that right now, about it not being stressful, because in the past I had, if the child doesn't talk, they don't get it. That never worked. First of all, there were so many children that were driven to tantrums, and it wasn't because they were being stubborn. It wasn't because they were being lazy. It was because they didn't have that neuronal connection in the brain that goes from the planning, I want to say cookies, that goes to the cerebellum that says cookies. Now we know in the research they didn't have that pathway, right? We don't want to make it stressful. When we make it stressful, what happens is they go out of the prefrontal cortex social brain and they go into the amygdala brain. It shuts down. The brain works like an either or proposition. You cannot be in the prefrontal cortex, higher level thinking brain, at the same time as being in a reptilian brain. So you have like a light switch going really fast on and off. So it's like, oh, the prefrontal cortex is lit up, now the amygdala. The prefrontal cortex is lit up, now the amygdala. It's either or. By taking away their cookies, no cookies for you, what I'm going to have is a child in the amygdala reptile brain. This is not a communication state of mind. So we do not want to put pressure ever on a child to communicate, to use a device, to talk. That's higher level thinking brain. So we don't want to put any pressure on them. That's just doesn't work. Let's look at number 5. Number 5, we want to capitalize on their interest. So when it comes to what is going to be the first words that we're going to develop, are we going to focus on a daily basis? Many of the kiddos that we know, their first words were Paw Patrol characters. The first words were shapes because they love shapes. Some of them loved numbers, so their first words are numbers. Some of them loved letters. Their first words were letters. Some of them loved vehicles. Whatever you love, that's going to be the first words. That's what you're going to go out on every day. Because also, this is going to be hard work, right? And we know from the research, children with autism, much like myself having ADD, they learn better when it's something that they're interested in. What you're going to want to do is find out, when you're working with a child with autism, what are their interests? What's their favorite book? What are their favorite toys? What are their favorite movies? What are their favorite TV shows? What are their favorite songs? You want to know all of those favorite things, because those are going to be words and phrases you're going to want to use, as I mentioned before, in a fun manner, in a repeatable manner, on a daily basis, in which you're going to be like spotlighting them so that they stand out in the sea of distraction. So you're going to want to pick the good stuff. If you're going to go cross-country skiing and you're going to have to like fall and learn all the things, go to the best place in the world. Go to Banff and do it, right? Let's look at the next step. Number 6. This is the last one I have for you today, which is repetition, repetition, repetition. So once again, we are rewiring the brain when neuroplasticity is at its highest level. Time is really important because what we know about the cerebellum is that if a child has a cerebellar stroke at a young age, then it's really significant. The damage is very pervasive in their development. This is not going to be good. But if an adult has a cerebellar stroke, they could be pretty much like still functioning. Maybe they have a little bit of slurred speech. Maybe they're klutzier. Maybe they have some visual spatial issues in which they get dizzy, or they have proprioception issues. The cerebellum develops over time. We want to make the brain more efficient, and we want to create that track. I just think of a ski track. That's what I think of. The 2 skis are going to go right from the planning area right into the cerebellum, the prefrontal cortex, the cerebellum, the social areas of the brain, the front of the brain to the back of the brain. We're going to make it efficient. And how are we going to do it? We're going to commit. And we're going to commit every single day. And every single day, what you're going to do is you're going to use the same words. You're going to use the same song. You're going to use the same routine. You're going to have it embedded. For instance, this is what you do at lunchtime. This is your routine before lunchtime. We're going to sing our ABCs. We're going to sing our 1, 2, 3s. We're going to do our shapes. We're going to do our days of the week. We do it every single day. Rinse and repeat. It's at the same time every day. It is so routine. And why do I say like it's at the same time every day? Because then children feel safe and secure. You have this predictable routine, and they can focus on the letters. They can focus on the numbers. They can focus on the language. And they feel safe and secure. They're not worrying about where are they, what are they doing. If they don't feel safe and secure, they're not in their prefrontal cortex. They're in the amygdala brain. They're not in this speech and language and communication area of the brain. We can't be building these neuronal tracks because they're in fight, flight, freeze mode. Okay? So the predictable routines are really important. So these are the 6 steps. And what is going to happen? I promise you, I've done this for many, many years. After the child is consistent, I'll show you what consistency looks like. The child saying the shapes, right? Every day in group time, these are the shapes of the week, and you go through all the shapes: circle, triangle, star, the shapes of the week. And then you're walking down the hallway with the child, and the child points up: circle, star, diamond, these are the shapes of the week, pointing to them. And then you're over here, and the child goes, circle. And you're seeing that in different environments, the child thinks, I'd really like to say circle right now. I'd really like to say star right now. I'd really like to say these words right now. And they're doing it. They're saying it consistently. When that happens is when you turn a corner in their speech development. Then they start spontaneously saying words. And it's just like miraculous. And you're like, they've been picking this all up all along. Even though you can't measure it, you don't know what they're taking it in. They're taking it in. They just didn't have that track that says, I want to say it and I can do it. There isn't that smooth, nice, ski tracked, well-groomed, easily get from point A to point B, which took everyday repetition to create and to maintain. So after you have that track developed, in which they realize, if I want to say something, I can say it, they're going to start saying all of these words that you haven't taught them, words that they've heard over the years. It is incredible. But like I said, we need to have the track. We need to have the track. And how you get that track, do not yuck their yum. If their young is ABCs, if their youngs are vehicles, if their youngs are dinosaurs, whatever their yum is, that's their yum. And don't you yuck it. Meet them there. So whatever their yum is, I want you to embrace that yum. And I want you to do these steps when it comes to that yum. Make a song, move your limbs with it, print reference with it, make it enjoyable, not stressful. They don't have to say the word, no pressure. Remember, we want to capitalize on their interest. For instance, how many kids do you know are singing Baby Shark doo 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 doo, Baby Shark doo 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 doo, and they have that song in their head, right? So what can we do with that? They love that song. We can make anything that song. We can say circle, circle, do, 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 square, 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 do, 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 triangle, triangle, do, 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 do. I don't know. But you know, anything, you're obsessed with the do, do, do song. I'm going to take the do, do, do song and we're going to go ahead and use that and learn these words that we do every single day. We're going to count. Number one, do, 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 do. Number two, do, 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 do. Do you see how easy that is? So you're like, all right, let's capitalize on that. This is what you're giving me. This is what you love. We're going to take it and we're going to roll with it. Remember the goal. The goal is consistency. You're using the same words. You're using the same song. You're using that same routine. You're using the same print. You're using the same with your hands. You're using the same gestures. So you're giving that sameness and building that track so that that track is so fluid that whenever they have a thought, that thought is easily spoken. Okay? So that is the best I've got for now. I hope that you can use this and make a difference. So I want you to roll up your sleeves and do what you do best, which is make the world a better place, one child at a time. I promise that you will always be first. And by the way, if you have not joined the SIS membership yet, what are you waiting for? I encourage you to give it a try, join for a month, get the treatment targets at least. And if you don't like it after a month, then unsubscribe. But it will be worth it because you have the treatment targets and the treatment targets are extremely powerful. They will get you huge results. You take it, you take the treatment targets and you do something different with it. But that will be gold. That will definitely be worth a month membership. I promise you that. So I will see you next Thursday. And once again, do what you do best, which is make the world a better place, one child at a time. You are always going to be first. And I hope to see you at the SIS drawing board alongside me, and we'll change lives together.